We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you. Welcome to I Be Determined. I'm your host, Michelle Harvey.
And I'm also the host, Mason Harvey.
And as most of you know, if you've been listening, I am Mason's mom, and I kind of discuss things from the aspect of a caregiver.
And I have Crohn's disease.
Today, we want to talk about something that is really important to us and actually really important for you guys. Mm-hmm. If any of you have the need to use a restroom, like
at a store or at a restaurant.
Yeah, anywhere. And it doesn't have to be just Crohn's disease. It could be some other medical condition you might have. We hope you'll find this useful. Today we'll be talking about the Restroom Access Act. And it's very important to us. And we'll get more into that.
Hopefully it's important to you.
Yeah, exactly. If you're listening, I hope it is, or maybe it's important to somebody that you know.
Or maybe we'll give you inspiration.
Yeah, which is definitely needed for things like this. So before we get started, we want to talk about every episode. We have a candle back there burning, and that one's wick is actually a little high. So we're supposed to trim it, and we did not. So it does have a little larger flame than it should. But that is one of the candles that we make. So we make Karmatude candles, and we had these started before Mason got sick.
So like around 2019.
Yeah, probably 2019, and then like officially business 2020. Do you remember why we started it?
To raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House.
Yeah, I mean, of course you remember that, but I mean, trying to act like elements of surprise.
I remember.
But yeah, we had created them to raise funds for the Ronald McDonald House, and it's something that we used to be very, and still are, but we were very passionate about. And Mason, at the time, we had no idea he was even sick. It was just something we did. So when he ended up being diagnosed with Crohn's, we thought, there's got to be better treatments. There's got to be. And how do we do that? By helping fund the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. And
so we switched the funds over to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
Right. Yeah. So that's where they go. So you can find those. We have karmatudecandles.com, and you can look up all of our candles. That's actually this week. We've been pretty busy. Well, we had a really busy week. Yeah. Not even, and he hasn't started school yet. No. So that's without school
isn't
starting.
That exciting?
We all had, I had doctor's appointments. So he had an infusion. He also had a dentist appointment.
Everything went well.
Yeah. So it was just a busy week. And in between there, we were trying to make all of our fall candles.
Mm-hmm.
And
fall candles are coming out. Soon.
Yeah, they're going to be out soon. Yeah. Can't wait to tell you guys more about them. Mm-hmm. And in fact, the one behind us is Harvest and Spice is the one we are burning right now. But
it smells very good.
We have to make them all during the summer because once school starts,
it's hard to keep up.
It is. It's hard to make that many candles. And fall typically gets released right around now or within the next couple of weeks. So our house smells like
very good.
It does. Smells good.
Like fall.
But it smells like fall. So yeah, we also are making reed diffusers. And so we have one of those in the room across from us, and that's cinnamon apple cider.
It smells very
festive.
Festive in here. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. So we're still trying to enjoy the last remnants of summer, though, for sure. So let's just jump into it. And let's talk about what the Restroom Access Act is. It's basically
an act that allows you to be able to go to any bathroom, like an employee restroom, if the public restrooms are shut down. So if you really need to go, you can use an employee restroom and they can't deny your access to it.
Which, to you guys who've never maybe had this need, you may be wondering, well, isn't that a thing? Why would you need that? Don't people let you use the restroom?
Yeah.
And The answer is no. You'd be surprised. And so there's not always a public restroom available in some places. Sometimes you have a real emergency. And so like what we found with ourselves is that we wouldn't go places because we were never sure when he would have to, when he was in a flare, especially.
Yeah. Just hit.
Right.
You can never really guess.
Right. And it was like, what if we are somewhere where there is not a restroom? And what if they don't let us use it? And
maybe there would be a restroom, but it's employees only.
Right. Yeah, that too. Or maybe you need to purchase something, they're like only for paying customers.
Yeah.
Not open to the public, that kind of thing. And we are in the state of California, which is amazing to me. We did not have a Restroom Access Act that had been put into law here.
I didn't know we didn't have one.
Yeah, we did some research. So you can
I do now, but
right
at the time.
But before. And this was, when we say before, we're talking about 2020 when he was diagnosed. And you can get a card from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation that you can show to let people know about your condition. But in some states, they can just say no. They can choose to ignore that, which is still wrong.
And that used to be California.
Yeah, it used to be California. And you can look on the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's website, and there are links to show you what states currently have these enacted and which ones do not, and if there's legislation in process. And so I'll let Mason read to you. We have it written down so we don't forget them. Which states or districts in the United States
so hopefully
have
these are
this?
All of them. If not, you can check the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, but it should be all of them. States that allow the Bathroom Access Act are California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, New Hampshire, New York, Ohio, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, D.C., and Wisconsin.
And so that's not even half of the United States. I mean, that just seems like a few that he read, but that's probably right around 20 or so. And before in 2020, there was even less states because California was not on that list.
No, it wasn't.
And that was something that we decided to change. We're going to go through that process with you guys on how that happened. And at the end of this podcast, we're also going to share some helpful links, and you'll be able to find where you can download the letter that your doctor needs to fill out so you can show to businesses to let them use the bathroom. And we also are going to give you the links to where to find your legislators. They have, I believe, some templates like letters that you can use to approach them as well to get this done in your state. And
free links.
Yeah, free links. And so the question we get asked is, how did it get passed in the state of California? How did you guys do this? Yeah. And it really took about 1.5 years from start to finish. It seemed like forever.
Yeah.
It seemed like took a while, but it actually, when you're creating a law, it really does take, it's a process. So how we started, just be
like, oh yeah, you'll let this one go by.
Yeah, no. And we quickly learned the ins and outs of all of this.
It's a challenge.
It is. It is a challenge. And it's something that none of you should shy away from either. Don't let that deter you. And it might be a challenge, but it's something that you can do. I mean, we did
learn from challenges.
Yeah, we did it. And we were like newly diagnosed, had a bunch of stuff going on. Our lives were chaotic, and we still found time to do this. So it is doable, and we're going to help you guys with that. And so the first step I took was I began reaching out to senators and assembly members. I just figured the more people I approached, the better my odds were of getting someone to get back to me.
Yeah, more.
So help. I started this in about, I would say, June of 2021.
Yeah.
I kind of did some research, and then that's when I actually started approaching them. And it was pretty quiet for a little bit. And I went onto the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation website, and there's a spot where you can look up your legislators by your zip code, which is a little more helpful because then you're directed to somebody who is representing you. So I went in there and I wrote down the names, and then I did email, phone calls, a letter, and a senator got back to me.
Yeah, she had a message.
And yeah, it took about a month, and I heard back from a senator. it was very exciting because I felt like, wow, someone
is listening.
And at the very least, I thought, well, if this doesn't go anywhere, I'm going to learn from this and hopefully share that. I ended up getting a meeting with them and they set it up. I think I got the call from them was like August of 2021. They couldn't see me until October of 2021. So we set up the meeting and it was Zoom. So I didn't even have to leave the house or go anywhere. And
Zoom is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it is. At the time, I wasn't sure if Mason was that comfortable sharing. So I shared his story with them and they were very receptive. And I say they because the senator also works with a team who also meets with you. They have a whole team that's working with them on these bills. And so I just kind of told her the stories of like Mason and then other kids and adults I'd heard in some of these groups I belong to online. They were very kind about it and really listened to me and understood what I was saying. And so after the meeting, they're going to get back in touch with me because like I found out the senator can only take on so many bills. And she already had.
I can't do everything.
No, they're only allowed to select a certain amount. And she had already selected some because it was coming up when they would start kind of campaigning for these bills. And so she wasn't sure if she would be able to fit that in the last slot she had. And I was like, okay, well, what can I do to help? And so they asked if I could draft a version of the bill. Like, I would like to see it. So I did a lot of research. I went online to the states that had already passed and I read all of their bills. And
I did her research.
I did. That was a lot of work, but I wanted to find out what had already passed. So I knew, okay, if this worked in these states, there's higher odds that it'll work in ours. So I could kind of tweak it with, I want to keep this. I don't really, I don't like this about it. And so I kind of customized it based on what had already passed and what we wanted. And so it's kind of like a wish list, but you write it out, you draft it. And I did that whole process. And then I asked Mason to record
a little video.
And you want to tell him a little bit about what that was?
The video took place in the back of our car. It showed what you have to carry in the back of your car when you go places, because you don't know when you have to do things. So you have to carry a backpack with some things in it. You have to.
We had a portable toilet.
Mobile toilet.
Like, and some people, they carry buckets, they have bags, there's all kinds of people. You'll hear about this whole world if you're in one of the IBD groups. There's people that they have to have these because
they really had to have them because someone doesn't let you use their bathroom. You have to do what you have to do.
Right. And otherwise you could face a really embarrassing situation, especially if you're on a lunch break and you're trying to go back to work or, something like that. So anyways, it was kind of like I think it was pretty brave of him to do because again, it's not something often like nobody wants to talk about that, but he wanted, that's exactly what we wanted them to see are the things that people don't understand, the sacrifices that some kids and adults have to make to be normal, things that we take for granted. People like us who could just, use any bathroom or don't have to use them in emergencies. It's something we take for granted. That was something he put together. And we sent that out also to another assembly member because during this time, our senator had found another assembly member, not in our district, but in the same San Diego area. And she had been also working on this with some other advocates who had also been fighting like we had. And so we were all working on this separately, didn't even know. And then we came together and our senator agreed to co-author this bill with the other assembly member. We were so excited just to get, okay, we're going to get this. This bill is at least got a chance.
Coming together.
Yeah. So it was called
AB 1632.
And so that bill, so then what happens? We got it to the bill phase and we're like, sweet. But then it has to go through getting approval and seeing if they think this has a chance. And in the state of California, there was a lot of ups and downs with this. There was a lot of people challenging it and unions that were not happy with it. We have places like Disneyland that have a big opinion on things and a big influence. And so we have a lot of, we have Legoland, SeaWorld all near us. And we're, so it's, Yeah, Universal Studios. And so these are big players that they matter what their opinion is on this subject too. And then there's also liability from an employment standpoint of letting people in to use an employer's restroom. And, trying to convince them that this is not going to be something that's abused where people are just using your restroom. This is only in the case of an emergency. In most cases, people are not going to want to like bust in somewhere and be like, I need to use your bathroom. Yeah, not really going to happen. It's usually more of like just a situation of dire need. And so that's kind of what we're trying to convince them of, that this bill would be like how it went in other states and it would do great. So it was a little discouraging because we had heard that it really wasn't probably looking like it was going to go anywhere. And so we were kind of prepared for that and trying to think of ways to get around that. But luckily, we got a call. It was August of 2022. So about a year after we started this process, that it looked like it had hopes of passing. And
really exciting.
Yeah, we were super excited. And so the senator's office had called us and said, okay, you can watch it's pretty cool, actually, just so you guys know, you can watch the Senate vote live from our Capitol. You can watch it. And so she told us it was going to be happening. And so we tuned in. We got to see it live, and they read Mason's name on the Senate floor, which was really cool, kind of surreal. He was their inspiration for this, and one of the kids who fought hard to get this passed. So his name was read, and then they voted, and it unanimously passed.
It passed. We were so excited. I was jumping everywhere.
Yeah, he was like jumping up and down, and I was like, we passed the bill. Yeah, it was an amazing feeling, and you just knew lives would change, and people who otherwise felt ignored would now be seen.
Yeah.
And that was what was so important, to send a message that you're important too. It's the bill during this time too. It's important to note, like, they changed a few of it. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, which was fine, but they did change a few of the provisions. And so that does happen.
But the building blocks got through.
Yeah, the building blocks got through. And I was happy that it got to that point. And even the changes they made, I was okay with. I would have preferred that employers got penalized a little higher if they did turn someone down. They didn't want to make it too high of an amount, but I wouldn't have minded. You have to come to an agreement and work together. Yeah. So that's how it worked. And so then what happens next after the bill passes? It also passed the Assembly. So it passed both the Assembly and it passed the Senate. So then it goes to the governor's desk. And we had to wait until he signed it. He waited to the very last day to sign it into law. And that was in September of 2022.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was a huge moment. And then January 1st of this year is when it became an actual enforceable law.
It's put into use.
Yeah. So cool. So if you're in California now, if you're watching this, you now have rights to use a restroom in an emergency situation, and you will not be denied.
No.
And so these are the steps that we took, and you can follow in your own state. We're happy to help. You can reach out to us. Go through our Instagram at Team IB Determined, or comment here on our YouTube channel at IB Determined. And if we can help you guys, we're more than happy to help. That kind of leads into, what can you do? Besides what you just heard us do, all this, one of the things is, don't give up.
No, don't give up.
No, keep fighting for it, because there's times where we would have thought with this, it was a done deal and you could have just walked away from it at all different aspects. And we never looked at it that way. We're like, well, we're going to keep fighting.
Yeah.
And we did. And also, the easiest thing to do is look at the states that have already passed these. Look up what they have. And if you need help, and see how they did it.
Yeah.
And if you need help with this, again, let us know. We're more than happy to help you with that. Part of this, just like anything with any disease, and especially with what we're so big about with Crohn's disease, is raising awareness.
You want to raise awareness.
Yeah. And
do not be overlooked.
Yeah. Well, that's the main thing. You're saying don't overlook, don't ignore us. And I think raising awareness is not only just to sit here and get people to listen, but it's to get them to act. We want people who don't have a chronic illness or have the need to use a restroom to still stand up and say,
I want to help.
This isn't right.
Yeah.
And actually, I did forget to mention something that we did that helped, and because this kind of has to do with it, is I asked a bunch of people who had IBD if they could write letters and say what had happened to them when they had been denied the use of a restroom. And I got a lot of letters and a lot of sad stories. It was crazy. You think this doesn't happen here. This would never happen to somebody, but it does.
Things happens that you don't know about.
Yeah. And that's why raising awareness is so important, because you don't know until you know. So that's part of it. And so we use those letters too. I sent those to our senator to show her there is a large need for this. So if any of you would like access to those, I will keep the personal information private of the people provided those. But if you would like those letters to help you make your case, I'd be more than happy to provide them, as they were written by real people that had experienced this. I think that was a big help. If you want help preparing a draft too of the bill, I can send you the draft of ours. I would be more than happy to do that. So yeah, I mean, and that's the main thing. We got to help each other and support each other, because
you got to work together.
Yeah.
Teamwork.
And it's so important, such a simple thing. But if we kind of join together and help, that's how things happen. I kind of jumped into this not knowing what I was doing, and I learned a lot, and I would definitely be happy to share that. And that way we should have the entire United States covered. This shouldn't just be a handful or less than half of
someday it will be there.
Yeah, that way, like, say if we go on a road trip, we may encounter this problem somewhere, and we shouldn't have to. We should be able to travel anywhere here, and it shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about really quick is our own Restroom Access Act. So the way it went down here is that you do need a signed paper from a doctor saying that you have a medical necessity that requires you to use the bathroom in an emergency. So it's like specifically mentioned in the bill, like IBD. It's specifically mentioned like if you have an ostomy, but it does say other medical conditions. So that could vary, and that's up to your doctor to go ahead and decide and to sign this off for you. You carry this with you. They have in a card form or a letter.
Paper.
Yeah. And you just take that with you and show it to somebody.
And let you use their bathroom.
Yeah. I mean, you hope people will just be kind enough, and you may not need this.
Hopefully
but
they understand.
Yeah. So, but the form is on the California Department of Health's website. When you're on their website, go ahead and search Restroom Access Act, and it'll pull up the forms. You can download them, then take them to your doctors, or you can message them through my chart to your doctor's email or fax or whatever, and get your doctor to sign them for you, so you know your rights. And in other states, it may be different. You may not need these forms. This is just what our state agreed upon. So check your Restroom Access Act to see what you need. But in California, that's currently what it is. You can go to the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. And
shout out to Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
Yeah, and I'm going to put those links. I'm going to put them in the comments like I always do, so you guys have access. But they have on theirs, they have templates you can use to help fight this. Yeah. They also have where you can put in, like I said earlier, you can search by zip code to find your legislators, so you can get exactly where you need to go and get the help you need in your district. You can search that out on there as well. So I'll put the links for the Restroom Access Act forms for California in there, and then the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation links that I think would be important for you guys to use. So that's about
everything
for our bill. Yeah, that's how
for our bill.
Yeah, so that's how the bill was created, and it turned into a law. So
it was passed.
Yeah, it was a good story, and it worked out well.
Had a good outcome.
Yeah, and I hope that that can happen for someone else too. Mm-hmm. And we, like I said, we're definitely happy to help in any way we can. And because the legislation, it's not even just about just this particular bill. There could be something else that you're passionate about and needs to be changed. And so this kind of could help you with any process from there. Yeah. So, and you can get creative. However, you can get someone to listen to you and hear your story is what is so important. And I'm thankful to the senators and the assembly members that listen to us.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. It was amazing. And we are so thankful. So go ahead. And if you're not already doing it, follow us on Instagram at Team IB Determined. And that's how you can comment too. You can reach out to us. Please send us your questions. If there's anything we can answer. Yeah, like your feedback is so important to us, and it helps guide us and know what is important to you and what needs to be talked about next. Otherwise, it's just us deciding, and which is not bad, but I'd love to hear back and see if there's anything we could really help you guys with. You can keep listening to us, or if you want to watch too, because we do record this. If you're more of someone like to watch something, you can find us on YouTube.
And make sure when you're on YouTube, you leave a comment and you like and subscribe.
Yeah.
And if you really want, you can ring that bell.
Yeah. Please feel free to comment and on there as well with what you would like us to talk about. Or if you have any
ideas for future episodes, go ahead and let us know.
Or share your story. Share how this episode connected in your own life and let us know. It's nice to have the support, and nobody should feel alone. And so keep the conversation going, keep raising awareness together, and support each other. All right. Well, we will see you next week.
In the next episode.
Yep.
Bye. We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient.
And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to play something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.